Warning, the following video contains spoilers for My Little Pony: A New Generation. Proceed with caution. You sure? Last chance. Just saying. Ready? Okay? Okay. Coming to you from Ponyville, it's the My Little Pony Generation 5 Fashion Show. Yes, we're being absolutely meta about this. And now, here's your host, Silver-Quill. Greetings, my fellow fans. Tonight, we shall make history as we talk about the designs of the newest mares and stallions to grace this fandom. There's little point in putting it off, so let's start with our first look at the new ponies. Oh God, I'm blind. My eyes have imploded! You know, it really is quite frustrating. Can we not reach at least one event without something spoiling the surprise? It seems a staple of this digital age that building up to an announcement rarely goes as planned. Whether it's an actor letting spoilers slip on television, games getting released before the street date and the information being leaked, or episode footage and audio being released before the air date, it's pretty hard to go into an event completely wide-eyed. Now, whether or not a spoiler can diminish enjoyment of a story is actually debated. Some have argued that spoiling an event allows the audience to better enjoy the journey, while others say that a spoiler robs the revelation of emotional impact.
Who'd have thought Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?
Thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture.
Yet this particular leak was its own kind of frustrating, not just because it gave away several characters' designs. It also failed to convey anything of substance. There we go. A strong character design, often combined with visual context, can reveal a lot about that individual without having to say anything. This bedsheet, however, accidentally posted on Jerry Fabrics F's website, doesn't accomplish either. There's a lot one can say about this drawing. The vacant expressions, the uniform poses and lack of quirks, the fact that even a different colored background would have helped this image stand out. Yet here's the wrinkle. This wasn't meant to be an introduction. It's just a bit of merchandising. It's not meant to do anything else except cash in on the brand recognition. The only thing I can truly criticize in the moment is how it fails to express any sort of characterization. Unless...
They are but servants of the unnamed one, fragments of a terrible consciousness seeking to consume reality into itself, thus wiping out all chaotic individuality. They are its heralds, its will, its dark dreams made manifest.
Or I've listened to way too many creepypastas. Point is, this image isn't meant to let us know anything about the show, its characters, or its quality. Imagine for a moment if this 1984 pillow cover was your only introduction to Optimus Prime. Apparently he's very blocky, as big as Africa, and he's telling you about the time he caught a fish this big. In many ways, it's unfair to both fans and the production team that this accident found its way online. I focus on this because folks were feeling uncertain about this new generation, and an error like this did little to reassure. In fact, I don't think anything could truly inspire optimism until we got a trailer, which Netflix was not keen on doing until about a month out from the premiere, as is their apparent policy. So for most of 2021, bronies experienced a paradox. A bit of merchandise spoiled the introduction, and yet it's through other products that we found out most of the character information. Toys for the various characters, books for the settings, even the musical figures gave us a hint of what kind of songs we could expect. Information narrowed to a trickle. Yet again, I see a common trend that doesn't seem to change. Things like coloring books, toys, posters, and even TV advertisements have hinted at features within a movie well before any official information comes out. Hasbro took a unique approach by doing several videos featuring the voice cast. And I don't mean one of those usual sit in a chair and talk about how great the movie will be. Got enough of that from the DC animated movies. No, Hasbro made quite the spectacle, with all the cast dressing up for this event. Seriously, how does anyone fit that many ruffles on an outfit? I haven't seen anything like that since the Seinfeld puffy shirt. And we've seen these actresses both opening toys of their respective characters or recounting their own friendships. Actor James Marsden seemed to have been left out of these pitches, and I suspect that's because they're still marking this towards young women. I further suspect this is why he's dressed rather conservatively compared to the rest of the vocal cast. I'm not sure how he could match up, but again, a puffy shirt does wonders. I'm very fixated on this for some reason. I don't know how effective this marketing strategy is proven. Personally, I don't get invested in a vocal cast until after I've seen their work. After all, a great actor may yet get cast in a terrible role. So with all that much ado about merchandising out of the way, let's start looking at the actual character designs. Starting with our main heroine. Hailing from Maritime Bay, it's Sunny Starscout. With an orange-white coat and a bright fuchsia mane. It's magenta. No, it's fuchsia. Magenta. I'm the disembodied announcer voice, and I say fuchsia. I'm the guy in the fabulous jacket, and I say magenta. Silence! It's fuchsia, and it's warm and friendly like her entire design. Sunny Starscout, our new lead heroine. The evolution of this look is fun to check out. Labeled the Explorer, initial concept designs favored a wilder, barely contained look. The goggles conjure up a feeling of an adventurer, a la Digimon's iconic Goggle Boys. Even the mane reminds me more than a bit of Tai Chi. Yet in place of the pigtails, I'm glad the design evolved to figure a singular ponytail. In addition to wonderful irony, this helps convey a key idea with Sunny. In every promotional piece we witnessed, Sunny was all about focused movement. She sets herself into motion and only stops after achieving the goal. A single ponytail conveys this sense better than two pigtails would. Perhaps this idea took inspiration from Lara Croft? That is not the inspiration I meant. How dare! Look, everything about Sunny conveys a sense of energy and adventure. She's literally made to go forth into the great unknown, which is why it's a little odd to see some early production ideas, including Sunny's journey through a dark forest and all the implied fears within. An interesting idea, maybe something to hang on to for the series? Yet if Sunny is focus direction, let's talk about the opposite approach. Sprouting the latest in unicorn characterization from Bridalwood, we have Izzy Moonbow, featuring a mane that reaches to her hooves but never gets in the way, beads that speak to a creative spirit, and a smile that says you will either love or hate me. There is no middle ground. Izzy's design reflects a personality that's much less focused, but is still bright and optimistic. The biggest statement is that amazing mane that reflects so many lights, and somehow manages to be both chaotic and recognizable. Yet once you look past the unfocused elements, there are details like the bracelets. One doesn't make those without some measure of focus, hinting at Izzy's creativity, which is made all the funnier when we look at the concept art. Some of her earliest designs would actually find their way over to Sunny. The tight-kempt mane and larger glasses implying a more intellectual approach, though her coat colors would eventually endure to the final design. Other concept designs literally let her mane down, as she was thought of as the caregiver. Given its silky appearance and the displayed expressions, we get a hint at a calmer, gentler personality. Or she's on some special kind of magic rock she might be sharing with Alpha Petal. Yet while I wouldn't mind seeing a character who might be a mixture of both rarity and Fluttershy, I really can't imagine this movie without Izzy. Even before the movie hit, Izzy's energy and brightness were on full display, just through a wave or a bit of bouncing. And it looks like some of that concept art likewise wanted to convey a bombastic nature that was friendly but not always restrained. Though I definitely want to know what could trigger this pose. Izzy's energy wonderfully complements Sunny's focus, which is why I wonder at Izzy's color palette. Much cooler scheme than I would expect. Granted, her mane seems to be electric, so she's not dull by any means. Yet that purple coat of hers, violence. You shush with your face now. That color scheme has some interesting meanings. The spectrum containing purple and/or violet doesn't appear in nature as frequently as other colors. Thus, it's often associated with more spiritual or magical roots, including creativity. As a side note, I think there's a similar rhetoric behind the code change for Argyle Starshine. His early artwork gave him a coat like his daughter's, but later designs changed it to blue, a color associated with calmness, stability, and wisdom, things that he tried to impart to his daughter. And Izzy represents the greater unknown world Sunny has dreamt about, which is part of why she stands out so well as a character. I'd argue that much of the movie really hinges around Izzy. And get used to the idea of contrast because the remaining cast is a study in opposites. Here we have the next generation of stallions with Hitch Trailblazer, featuring a duotone coat with a rich green mane. This stallion features a more rounded style than his G4 predecessors. His proud chest and winning smile make a statement. I'm not a DreamWorks protagonist, but I could be. Hitch was a hard guy to understand before the film came out. We saw by the belt and badge he wears that he was a sheriff, and he seems to have the demeanor of a proud defender. Or was this boisterousness, and he would be the butt of many a joke? Part of this came from a prideful dance he performed well before the speaking role, and his apparent lack of awareness regarding his own strength. It wasn't until we had a trailer clip that I could begin to glimpse his true character.
Your son is safe now, ma'am.
This isn't my kid!
Note that while he made false assumptions about the parent, he wasn't wrong to get the kid out of harm's way. See that, stallion? He is making a beeline right towards the child. So I view Hitch as a very competent stallion who has a prideful streak. Fitting then that he features a duotone coat. That was a rare sight back in G4, mostly featured on Trouble Shoes, Sunburst, and Pipsqueak. I see it more regularly here in a new generation, likely taking advantage of the CG to give stallions a distinguishing feature. Early concept art from when Hitch was mostly known as the Protector seems to play with duotones even more so, especially giving him a sheriff star on his chest. Though that might upset the Care Bears. One does not recover from the Care Bear cease and desist order. What I find especially interesting is the variety of color schemes Hitch went through. Mostly cooler schemes that remind me more of the ocean. His expressions seem to alternate between cool confidence and open eagerness. The one consistent thing between Hitch's early imaginings seems to be that his mane is just slightly unkempt. He has the discipline of a protector, but a hint of some rebellion within. Ultimately, I'm betting they went with his final colors to better reflect an Earth pony's connection to the world, thus strengthening the idea that he's a critter magnet. Which is helpful because his counterpart is more akin to a flame that will destroy the land. Presenting Sprout Cloverleaf.
For the last time, I am not Sprout!
With a bright red coat, shining blonde mane, and horrifically thick eyebrows.
Wow, rude!
How could anyone view this pony as anything other than a jerk?
I am not... This is the dumbest cameo ever. Of all time.
So, Sprout. He is very much the anti-Hitch. Though he has the duotone legs inherent to many stallions, he doesn't have the patches on his chest or head that help Hitch stand out. Word from character designer Imalu is that this hair inspiration for Sprout came from Dio, the main antagonist of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a guy who sweeps his hair back in sharp points and... Hey, wait a minute.
Stop comparing me to villains!
No. Anywho, Sprout's very early concept conveys much more oily personality. Someone who's good at making jabs and comments but is always holding in a selfish purpose. Other artwork suggests a kind of hick personality that's prone to irrational action. I think it's the gap in his teeth that speaks to a yokel stereotype. It's kind of funny to think that the Sprout we witness is actually a stronger presence than his earlier concepts. He's stylized like a counterpart to Hitch. Mane perfectly in line to show his lack of flexibility. A red coat, complemented by his blonde mane to show his anger and possibly destructive nature.
Oh, that is follicle profiling.
Though I'm curious about the decision for the eyebrows. Reminds me of a very different show.
Those eyebrows.
I have work to do, so let's do this fast, okay? But I want it to look cool, you know what I mean? Charming in a manly, grown-up kind of way.
I don't like it spicy.
Those eyebrows.
Believe it or not, there are theories that the thickness of one's eyebrows are related to one's own personality. It's part of physiognomy, the study of personality as expressed through appearance. Like, I've been doing for this video. To quote Gene Hayner, people with thick eyebrows, they're very decisive. They have a natural self-confidence, and they feel like they can figure anything out. That definitely sounds like the opposite of Sprout, though there is an element of self-delusion to his actions. Yet researchers from the University of Toronto claim that thicker, groomed eyebrows are a sign of narcissism. The more distinctive the eyebrow, in terms of grooming and thickness, the more self-centered the participant had scored on their narcissistic personality disorder test. The author speculated that the correlation could be due to the fact that denser brows, or well-groomed brows, naturally look more distinctive and recognizable, a trait that would be desirable to a narcissist. Okay, that certainly seems more in line with what we witnessed. But to be clear, this isn't a statement that everyone with thick eyebrows is a narcissist. The hypothesis here is that a narcissist will craft thicker eyebrows to achieve the look Hayner praises. And given Sprout's role, that makes sense. Up next in our line of characters, it's a study between sisters as we explore the differences between two Pegasi. Starting up, we have Princess Zipp Storm, with multicolored wings and a cool, composed look that says, "Go ahead and compare my mane to toothpaste. We'll see how you look by the end." Zipp Storm conveys confidence, control, and power. And verticality. Reflecting her love of flight, everything about Zipp's design points upwards, especially her mane, but that wasn't always so. Once upon a time, the production artwork hinted at a much gloomier Zipp, who wore fashion similar to her royal mother, yet her mane hung down. The image I get here is one of depression rather than the conflict we witnessed in the movie. Later artwork gave her a lift, literally, as the gloomy expression became more guarded curiosity. I'll touch on the older coat colors shortly, but there's one aspect about Zipp's final design I don't enjoy. White, as a basic color, sometimes defined as the absence of color, serves a role in helping other colors stand out. That's why the patches on Hitch and the gradients over several ponies' legs help their color scheme stand out. The coloring featured on Zipp's wings, mane, and even her grayish hooves all pull the eye away from the body. It's almost like we're meant to overlook her. Now, this sounds a bit similar to Princess Celestia, who had a nearly white coat, but notice the necklace and jewels she wears. That acts to center other elements. I wish that Zipp could have kept the silver necklace featured in her character model. It helps draw the viewer's eye back as a unique mark. Actually, I wish she could have also kept the feathers on her hooves, as they're very distinct. Sadly, those were reportedly a nightmare to animate, and were thus removed. Another option would have been to keep some of the markings around her eyes. Much like Rarity, I think extra detail in the face helps keep the audience centered on the character. Now, to talk about her coat color, we need to bring in our final design. Glittering her way on stage, it's Princess Pipp Petals. Featuring gold-painted hooves, a matching headband, elegantly styled mane, and feather-downy wings. This petite pony makes a bold statement. I'm the most feminine, and I love it. Unlike her sister, Pipp's coat has remained consistent across production, and early on I think Zipp's coat was meant to contrast. If not for the announcement on International Sibling Day, I would have had no idea that these two were sisters. There aren't a lot of matching elements besides their crown-themed cutie marks. I'm not sure why Zipp's coat changed from red tint to almost pure white. I would have liked to have seen this visual link between them continue. It does work once you know that they are sisters, because the different wings, styles, and expressions they carry become a study in how two siblings can turn out very different. I especially appreciate the comparison in wings. It seems that Pipp was originally a music enthusiast before being promoted to a pop idol. Even her headband is inspired by 1920s fashion. The wings were meant to serve as a feathery boa motif. Now they're an exploration in how you can create further variances within the Pegasus population. Yet of all the characters we met, I felt the most uncertain about Pipp. While the other characters were interacting with the audience, even in short promos, Pipp was far removed. Even her introduction featured her simply hovering and checking a smartphone. And in clips from the movie, Pipp is often at the back of the group, the furthest removed. Knowing that she was a social media star didn't raise my hopes for an interesting character. That was until folks in one of my art streams pointed out that Pipp might be an introvert, that retreating to a phone is a coping mechanism when one is feeling overwhelmed. Indeed, I realized there can be some significance to Pipp's mane style. At certain angles, only one eye is visible. To once again use Celestia as a comparison, featuring only one eye conveys a hidden side, depths we don't yet know and are intrigued, maybe a little scared to know. These are known as Pika bangs, or later called emo bangs. It's a style credited to actress Veronica Lake, who appeared in I Wanted Wings in 1941. Another aspect of this design choice is that the curve of the hair or mane says a lot about its intent. Straighter hair presents the image of a shield, disguising vulnerability or conveying an attempt to go unnoticed. In some cases, this shield might also symbolize a cage, as a trope in animes for a character with dual personalities to only display one eye at a given time. The more curvy the style, the more this becomes an attempt at attraction. I think this is the approach Pipp is taking. I haven't ruled out that there's a side to her we haven't yet seen. Given her presentation in the movie, she's still a character I understand the least. And having seen the movie and how these characters express themselves both visually and through dialogue, I'm eager for more. There's a lot we could learn about their backstories and outlook, including how they chose to develop their friendships going forward. I would love to speculate on how they could do so, but it's time for the Rarity Secret Fashion Show, and I've got front row seats. You're not old enough! Thanks to all my Patreon and Ko-fi supporters. You help keep these videos self-sustaining. If you'd like to support After the Fact on Patreon or Ko-fi, you can find links in the description below. And thanks to the folks who gave up both their time and creative energy. And if you have any artwork of Silver-Quill, I'd love to see it. You can tag me as MLP-Silver-Quill on DeviantArt or Twitter. I'm Silver-Quill. Thanks for watching.
So, are the guards at least competent this time?
Not really. They're on their cell phones all the time.